My understanding of this food crisis is that we have record grain harvests, we have record profits in the agri-foods industry, and we have record levels of hunger. That's a crisis to me.
And we're so not used to, in this culture, paying the true cost of food. We're used to cheap food, and the reason the food is cheap is that it's subsidized and the costs are externalized.
From the 60s through the 80s to 90s, you know, what was prestigious was to go to the store and buy. And if you had to grow it yourself or you had to make it yourself, that meant that you were in poverty.
What we're trying to do is move from access to investing in people's health, not treating people when they're sick, but investing in their health. That's what, to me, this whole movement is about. That's what Willow and others were referring to as it relates to the choices we make and making decisions on the basis of equity.
When we plant a garden, not only do we produce food from the shortest food chain of all, not only do we reduce our carbon footprint and sequester carbon in the soil, but we learn habits that will be very important in the future when there is no fossil fuel. And those are habits of self-reliance, habits of neighborliness too, because we will share all those zucchinis that we have too many of.
We're in West Berkeley on Bancroft Way near San Pablo Avenue. The garden of my house, which is basically a mini farm. We have a wide variety of fruits, and we raise vegetables, and we also raise animals. We have 2 dairy goats that provide milk, and their male offspring provide meat. We also have rabbits that we raise for meat and fur, and we have chickens that we have for meat and eggs. And they also provide a lot of compost that helps us grow the vegetables. We're trying to model sustainability and how to produce a lot of food in a small piece of land. Our lot is 40 feet by 195 feet, and the first 40 feet is our house. Probably at about the last 100 feet is garden, with the animals in the last 30 feet of the garden.
In the United States, farmers are very much the minority. You know, we have more people in prison than we have on the land. We have less than 2% of our population farms.
The majority of people who are in prison in California are not in prison for violent crimes. They're in prison for economic crimes and crimes of addiction. And so there is a tremendous human resource of folks who could come home and contribute if they were a part of a green economy, if they were working in community gardening, if they were working on some of these great farms. Those folks could come home, and the money that we're spending, $50,000 to $100,000 per person per year, could be tapped to do something beautiful. We are not even spending now $4,000 per year per kid when they're sitting in a classroom. But if the kid stands up and punches the teacher, we'll spend $100,000 to $150,000 per year. That doesn't make any sense at all. Let's spend the money in a good way.
It's just rough out here. It's real rough out here. You know, sometimes people can't come in and out of their doors. Sometimes just to live out here, to get along with people, sometimes you have to blend in with the community. Even though at times you don't want to, but you can get trapped. I got to the point I had people selling drugs for me. You know, then next thing I know, I was my main customer. I went downhill, got caught up, went to jail. I did it all. You know, when I left to go get my life together, I came back to help. I'm out here on the right track. You know what I'm saying? Helping my community. Out here in Alamany, what I do, I run the Resident Management Corporation and the Alamany Farm. It's a farm in the city. We got a little country in the city. You know, usually when you talk about we finna go to the country and pick some food and fruit, and you ain't gotta go down the highway. All you gotta do is walk up here in the farm in San Francisco.
We have this 4-part mission, right? And the first 3 are pretty straightforward. We want to grow good food, and we're doing that. We want to provide environmental education for school groups, and we're doing that. We're trying to provide jobs for the community, and we're doing that. The fourth part, the part that is so hard to really see actually happen, is this community empowerment goal. We're trying to get complete change in people's attitudes about themselves and their community, and that really takes a lot of time. You know, we like to compare ourselves to most community gardens, and in most community gardens, it's about gardening. And here we try to say it's about community. And we're trying to create food in a community process and not have it be each person has an individual plot for themselves to grow, but rather everyone working collectively to create abundance and share that.
So once they start seeing me floating, they said, well, maybe Alice got a point here. Then I started getting these grants in and hiring the kids. They said, well, we have a job for real job? I mean, we're gonna get paid? So the kids are so excited just knowing that they don't have to sell no drugs and they have an honest job, making an honest living.
Intense interest and involvement from the youngest children, the 4 to 8 year olds who come here because they have nothing else to do and they love to run around their backyard and wreak havoc, and they love to help as well. And so we've tried to integrate the youngest members of the Alameda community in a way that uses their crazy energy in a positive way.
When I was 6 years old, I first came to the garden. I learned how to take care of plants, and that the plants are medicine too, and that working with your friends, you can get it all done. And as a community, you can get it all done too. That's what I learned.
Diversity is the basic operating principle of ecology and of natural systems. And we're really living that here at the farm, right? Where it's a diverse group of people working together. African American folks and white folks and Latino folks and Asian folks all kind of working together. Straight folks and queer folks and old folks and young folks all trying to work together to make this happen.
Urban farming is becoming more and more important. In Asia, Africa, China, Cuba, urban farming contributes a tremendous amount, and that's happening more and more in the US. And in a place like the San Francisco Bay Area, where we have such a favorable growing climate, urban farming makes a tremendous amount of sense.
It's not a new idea. This is where we were in 1943, right? San Francisco had one of the best victory garden programs in the country. We had hundreds of urban productive gardens like this throughout the city.
What's remarkable about the East Bay and the Bay Area, and actually in my travels, I think about actually the United States and even possibly the world, is that there are a lot of us who really do share the same vision.
The good news is that there's these wonderful stories out there. It just takes an idea that food is important, and shifting from the big chain supermarket to the farmer's market.
We are at the end of what we can do individually, and we are at the beginning of what we have to begin to do as communities. This is a key inflection point now. Even our movements can't function individually anymore. Our movements have to begin to come together.
What I want to tell folks is, we're not alone. We're not the minority. We're not the fringe. We're the cutting edge. And there's cutting edges all over the globe.